I've been on the road for over 30 years. I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm hoping that from the content of this video, you can avoid making a lot of the mistakes that I've made.
So the really crazy thing is that here in the UK, you can generally pass your driving test after about 20 hours of instruction. And that instruction will not include night driving or motorway driving or skid control or anything that a driver really needs to just round out their experience as a driver. In fact, if you were working for a fast food chain or you were working in a coffee shop, you would typically get more formal training than you would when you pass your test and you go on the road. So it would be a mistake to think that now you've got your license, you are a good driver. A license really just indicates that you've met the bare legal minimum standard as a driver. And from that point on, we should all be continually developing and honing our skills. I wonder how many of us, if we sat our test today, would still pass it. Have we picked up all those bad habits over the years that will be to our detriment and could cause us to have an accident or just to be an unsafe driver? So what makes a good driver? Is it having superior reflexes? Is it having a lot of experience tucked under your belt? Is it driving skills that you've actually built up by going on courses, advanced driving courses, or training for track days and the like? Well, in reality, a good driver is a driver that understands he's not perfect, can make mistakes, and is always aware that they are continually learning. A good driver has nerves of steel, but the restraint to avoid using those. Those nerves of steel will help you to stay cool, calm and collected in difficult situations, but they won't cause you to be foolhardy, to push the car to beyond its limits and effectively throw the car into a skid or lose control of the car. So a good driver knows where those limits of adhesion and grip are and will stay on the safe side of that. Even if you take your car out on the track, you want to be on that safe side when it comes to adhesion and grip. If you're playing a video game, it's completely different. You take things to the limit. It doesn't matter if you roll off the track, you can just reset, try again. In real life, that sort of thing results in very, very expensive repair bills. So it's certainly not to be recommended. So I've been driving for over 30 years now, and it's fair to say I've had my fair share of scrapes and near misses, and I've learnt from most of those. I still make mistakes like most drivers do. I also spent 14 years working for an insurance company, so I got to read some fairly interesting claim forms, and that allowed me to build up a picture of those most common accident causes and most common situations that people get into. I noticed as well on claim forms, it was often the car's fault. I braked, but the car skidded. The car didn't stop in time. We tend to move blame for the accident onto whatever external thing we can, and often the car takes the blame, when actually as an advanced driver you could probably have anticipated the problem and avoided it in the first place. So by being aware of what these common causes of accidents are, we can actually be aware of them and prevent ourselves from getting into the situation where they might happen in the first place. So observation, the key is to look way ahead, further ahead than you would think, looking right up into the distance. Now, it's not just a matter of seeing or observing, you've got to anticipate what's likely to happen. So in your driving mind, you're constantly thinking about possible consequences, things that might happen, and also developing strategies to avoid those. So people often say that speed kills, but in reality, it's inattention, bad anticipation, or just bad observation that kills. Speed is often a factor in how serious an accident is, how much damage is done, but it's rarely the cause of an accident. That's normally down to driver inattention, driver mistakes, or even mechanical failure. So in a lot of cases, you may have had an accident that technically wasn't your fault, but as an advanced driver, you may well have been able to avoid it. I've seen a lot of people just stubborn-mindedly allow another car to come into their path and smash into them. Now, it's clearly the other car's fault, but you as the advanced driver could have maybe been braking harder, braking earlier, taking evasive action. So if we just stubbornly sit on our rights, it's not my fault, this car's going to hit me, and we do nothing about it, we're really as culpable as that other person that's made that mistake. So although that accident would not be our fault, we still have the paperwork, the insurance claims to deal with, the damage, the inconvenience that comes along with that. And we can avoid all of that if we just take a few moments to think about how we can prevent accidents from happening. We can keep out of the way of other motorists or the other idiot on the road. So life-saving driving tips. So these are things that you pick up over the years, and often what we think we know based on what Hollywood have done or Hollywood has taught us could actually cost us our life. So thinking first of all about the car plunging into water, according to Hollywood, we would wait for the car to fill up with water and then we'll start getting out of the car. So is that going to work? Is that the best way of dealing with the situation? Well, in reality, that will probably kill us. When you're underwater, you've got about 30 to 60 seconds of air. Bear in mind, you're panicking, you're using up a lot more oxygen, and you probably didn't fill your lungs as soon as you went into the water. So don't call the emergency services straight away. Don't send an Instagram selfie or fill in your social media profile with what's just happened to you. Get out of the car. So take a series of deep breaths, get as much air into your bloodstream as possible. That could give you an extra split second to get out of the car. Now, you will generally find that in these situations, your seatbelt has locked. There may have been an impact. The pre-tensioners may have cut in. The release mechanism on the seatbelts may not work. Can you get out of your seatbelt in the car without undoing it through the release? So it's recommended that you have some form of cutting mechanism that you can just pull through the seatbelt to actually allow you to cut it out. So get your seatbelt off as quickly as possible and the other occupants in the car, and focus on getting out. Now, your electric windows are probably going to stop working. You're in water. Electricity doesn't work very well in water. You may need to have other means of getting out through the window. So having a little hammer that can break the glass in the window will probably save your life in these situations. Don't wait for the car to fill up. It's a bit of a myth that the car is going to go down in one block. In reality, the car will tip forward. The engine is the heaviest point of the car, so that straight away is going to go down. The bubble of air is going to be to the back of the car, and what often happens in these situations is the car flips and ends up under the water on its roof, which can be very disorienting if you're inside it. So get out of the car as quickly as possible by breaking the glass, climbing onto the top of the car, and swimming for safety, getting away from the car as quickly as possible. Always stay calm in these situations. Panic is often the thing that causes us to make bad decisions. So on older cars, if you stalled on, say, a level crossing, a railway crossing, you could use the starter motor, if you were in second gear or reverse gear, to just move your car out of the way of the oncoming train. But in reality nowadays, that doesn't tend to work, because in most cars you have to dip the clutch in order to start them and to get them moving. If you break down, which is probably the most common emergency situation you'll experience as a driver, don't stay in the car. Park it as far off the main road as you can. But if you're on a busy main road, you may only have the option of parking at the side of the road. If you've got a warning triangle, you can set that up just to give other motorists a bit of a warning. So the typical zombie motorist will come along, not really noticing what's ahead. They'll see a car and they'll automatically follow it without realizing that you're broken down at the side of the road, and they'll just smash into it. It happens a lot more than you would think. So be very careful. If you break down, get out of the car, get to the side of the car to safety. Even if it's cold and wet, you're going to be safer outside the car than in the car, and then call your breakdown people or the emergency services and get whatever assistance you can, and patiently wait for that to arrive. So the most common accident causes that I see is where people have moved into a space they've only assumed was clear, when in reality there was a car occupying that space. So typically at a junction, you're at the junction, you're looking right, waiting for a gap. The car in front is also waiting for a gap. They've seen a gap and they've pulled away. Out the corner of your eye, you've seen them pull away, and you're now looking right at the main road to look for a gap, when in reality maybe they've stalled, and you will just lurch straight into the back of them. So that's really your fault. You've moved into a space that you only assumed was clear. You didn't do that final check. The most common reasons people give for inattention when driving is badgers, bees, and a distraction from, say, a mobile phone or something in the car. So if we're focusing on something in the car, we're losing our focus outside the car. So we need to slow up. We need to force our focus outside the car so that we can react to whatever situations are developing. And just driving too close to the car in front, you need to leave sufficient stopping distance. And a lot of drivers sadly don't even leave their thinking distance. So by the time the car in front has hit something and stopped dead, you've not even got enough time to react, let alone to get your brakes on and get the car under braking momentum and avoid that smash.
So I hope you enjoy these videos. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on this amazing course that I've put together. It really has taken a lot of work, a lot of research, and a lot of consultation has gone into it to provide this overview. And I'm going to try and avoid the patronising things that are blatantly obvious and just flag up those deeper things that will develop our skills as a driver. So subscribe to the channel, boot the like button. That really does help us to get out there. Share this course with your friends. I'm going to compile all of the little sections of the course into one long video at the end, so we've got a reference guide. And if you've got some feedback to make on those shorter videos that I'm releasing through May, please do so, because that will help me to make sure that this final video is as complete and as comprehensive as possible. That's my aim. Thanks for watching. See you in this next video that I've lined up for you.